apologize the next day, be like, I'm sorry, because he has his moments too. Everybody does.
Right.
And
I'm sorry is a big thing, people.
Oh, yeah.
It's
but then, like, I told him, I was like, when you see me like that, like, if you just hug me,
right,
I'll be fine.
Here's some advice.
Like, I just want some affection. I want something from you.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Ignore my phone. Yeah, it's the cloud.
But that's, like, and I think this is a lot with relationships with women and men. Women, we have a tendency of just being, like, outbursts, like, kind of, like, all over the place, kind of. And we are, men are, like, trying to piece it together,
like,
I think.
What is this whole emotion thing?
Because, and I think they're trying to piece it together, like, what did I do? What's going on?
It's not even necessarily about what you did right then. It's, like, the build-up and, like you said, the pent-up thing of, like, I've been quiet about this for so long.
Yeah.
And it's suddenly, like, overwhelming. Because especially if you're a young mom, which I consider us young moms.
Yes.
We have young kids, and we're working our butts off.
And we have teenagers. God help us.
She does. I don't.
God help me.
I'm not there yet. God help her, and God help me eventually.
You got preteen,
I have some time. Yeah, but yes, I do.
Yeah, preteens are pretty darn close.
Yeah, it's a little scary, but, I mean, but the thing is just, like, understanding, like, hey, we're not going to feel the exact same way.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't have to necessarily, like, do everything that I want you to do, but you got to try. You not try to do everything I want you to do. You got to try to be there for me. And that's what I feel like a lot of people are missing, is, like, they're not taking that time to wrap their arms around someone and say, like, hey, bring them in close.
Yeah, we're not telling the guys to be extra clingy.
No, but just, like, hugging your spouse and just being like, look, I realize
that
you're
shows
upset.
That you care.
I don't know how to respond to you right now, but I love you.
Right.
Everything's being okay. Let's talk about this tomorrow when we're both, like, in a different state of mind.
Yes.
And I really wish that more men and women had like that kind of ability of doing that. And, like, and you're right that it is more women that are in that position of crying and breaking down because men handle it differently. They don't cry and break down as much. They might cry if their dad dies.
Right.
But they're not crying and breaking down over the things that, like, we cry and break down over, which is, like, the normal everyday stress, pressures, raising kids, and teenagers, and work, and all of that. And we come home, and, like, for us, our release is, like, we want to cry about it. Yeah. Like, I'll purposely
scream, cry, whatever.
I purposely put on sad movies because sometimes because it's an outlet.
It helps bring it out.
Yes, I want to cry it out because I know it'll make me okay in the morning.
Right.
If I can go ahead and cry this out, it gives me a little bit of healing. I can calm down.
Right.
But I think overall, what we all want out of, like, a relationship with a man is for that man to come out at some point and be like, I don't really know what to say right now, but I love you and I support you. And even if it's a fucking hand on the shoulder,
right?
Give that just give that small bit of support, and just say I'm there for you. You know, and that to me is, like, really, like, key. And when you're not getting that, and like I said, if it's been a year and a half, 2 years of you not getting that, it's time to move on.
Not even getting, like,
it's time to
move on. Nothing,
no.
Like, and that's why I feel like a lot of times people, just in general, men, women, all this stuff, there's people out there that don't take blame or, for themselves. Like, they don't own up to their mistakes. Like, they always like to blame the other person.
Men and
because
women
it's
both.
Easier that way.
Like, and women do the same damn thing.
Oh, yeah. Men, women, everybody does it. Like, my daughter's dad, like, he doesn't see his kid, doesn't pay child support, all this stuff, but he'll be the first one to blame me in court. Oh, she doesn't let me see my daughter.
Right. Court shows a lot of true colors to people, especially if they show up and they start spitting out lies, and then they know damn well you've been the only person that's taking care of that kid, wipe that kid's butt.
But the judge doesn't know.
No, because and it's not even that. Like, with the judicial system now,
it's all.
It's so torn because right now they're so trying to be 50-50. Back in the day, it was always, like, on the mom's side.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I told a friend of mine that today. I said, it's actually really sad because I don't care who you are, and you can think what you want to think of me, but there is a maternal aspect that is not in men. Yes, they can raise kids from, like, on their own, but they don't do the same job that a mom does. And
a good mom, more about what they want to do and all this stuff. Because there's been many times.
Well, and they cannot relate on an emotional aspect. Like, even when you have boys. So, I know you have girls.
Yeah.
I do have a boy.
God help me.
I know, God help her for real. But, like, even my boy needs that emotional...
Oh, yeah. I think every kid needs
They need that love. Yeah. They need the same thing that we need, which is that hug, that arm on the shoulder of, like, I don't know what to say to you right now. I know you're heartbroken, but they want that hand on the shoulder too. It's about showing compassion. Mm-hmm. It's about showing, like, hey, I'm here for you even if I don't know what to say. And that's important to you.
And kids are smarter than you think, because, like, I have 2 older step kids, my husband's kids, and their mom doesn't come around, you know, she does a whole, I'll come see you, blah, 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 and then doesn't show, you know, but they didn't know that. They had emotional breakdowns when they're younger. Same with my daughter when she was younger with her dad not coming around. But now, like, as they get older and they realize, like, hey, you know, I mean, they obviously love their other parent. Obviously. And we're not going to take that away from them. Like, we understand you love your parent, but, you know, they never once thought that we were the bad parent taking them away from, because they could see for themselves that the other parent's not even trying to. Well,
I mean, and this kind of turns this conversation in a different. Sorry. No, it's in a good way. And I actually do want to touch on this because I feel like there are a lot of parents out there that deal with this. There are a lot of, I mean, especially in this day and age, there's a lot of mixed homes. There's a lot of, like, step-children and whatever.
And honestly, I think it's harder. I mean, you've been in relationships with step.
It's very hard. And
it's harder than having kids with, you know, your spouse.
Because they will take your love and acceptance, but they don't take your discipline. Mm-hmm. And so, my biggest thing growing up was I used to think my stepmom was so mean to me. And it was because, like, I needed that hand, I needed that hold, I needed that hug, and I don't think that my stepmom knew how to deal with me, like, because she had 6 kids, you know, raising them, like, in a harsh environment.
Step-kids and your own kids.
You know, and it was like, and she would come in and she would try, but for me, like, where I would shut down is when she would sit on the bed and I'd be crying and I'd be thinking, like, okay, this is the moment, we're going to bond. And she'd be like, so tell me what it is that you think you can do better for you to be a better person. And I'm looking at her like, how about what can we do better? And, like, as an adult now, I'm, like, looking at it like, if we would have had a better relationship if she had approached it as we. Instead of you. Because that pushed too much pressure on the kid. Like, they don't know how to handle their emotions. All they know is they love that parent. They don't understand why they're not being there for them. They don't understand why they abandoned them. And they're hurt. And it breaks a spirit to not be loved. Feeling like you're not loved is one of the hardest things in the entire world to deal with, because it makes you feel like you're an outcast. Like, I'm not loved. I'm not good enough for my biological parent to love me and to do right by me and to be there for me. And I think that's where step-parents and parents need to realize, like, those kids need to be reassured. They need to be told, listen, I cannot change your biological parents' actions or anything, but I can give you love and I can give you acceptance, and that's what I'm here for. And it does change things. And, you know, your girls are awesome. I love them. They call me Aunt Ashley, by the way, which is a great feeling. But I see that, like, I'm the fun friend. I'm like, and it's the fun times.
Whether it's, I mean, I've been with them since they're, like, little, like, younger than Zoe, I think. So,
which is how old? It's just for the
Zoe's
podcast.
7.
So, like, they were real young.
Yeah, they were, like, I think, maybe, like, 3, 4, like, maybe 4, I don't know. But it's, and, like, I've told them from the get-go, like, look, I'm not going to replace your mom. I can't replace your mom. But I'm going to be here. I'm going to, you know, I'm there for them and all this stuff. And I think that's what hurts me the most is, like, I do more stuff for them than their own mom.
Yeah.
But then they're so, well, mostly the teenager, which I I let it slide a little bit because she's going through hormones. She's going through that teenage phase.
How old
I've
is
been
she?
through there. 14.
Right.
So, like, I get it. And she took her parents' divorce and separation and her mom not coming around a lot
harder
than Chloe.
Right.
Chloe's just like, whatever.
And how old is Chloe?
She is, 12?
Wow. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're both great kids.
Right.
But
it's
they're
a difference
very-
in processing.
They're very different.
Yeah.
They're very, and I love them both, and I love all three of them equally, like, as if they're all my own. And, but again, it's harder when it comes to discipline. Like, I can, when my daughter, who's 7, my flesh and blood daughter, talks back, I can get on her, discipline her, ground her with all this stuff. But then, like, the older kids, like, especially the oldest one, and I feel like she's going through changes and just emotions, and she doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been a teenager.
Right.
I get it. But at the same time, like, it's hurtful to me because she's very disrespectful to me every day. Yelling at me, just hateful stuff towards me. But, it's like I don't want to step on toes. I don't want to, get her dad involved because,
you're trying to be the good
peace.
mom.
I'm trying to,
which is what a mother should do.
Right.
And I think that is a mom's role, and that's what I've always said. As a single mom, I find it the hardest because I have to play good cop and bad cop. And I think in a relationship, it's better if one parent can do one role and the other parent can do the other role.
Right.
And it's better if,
but then at the same time, because I was more the discipline for the longest time.
Yeah.
But it got too stressful on me where I'm like, I had to step
It's
back
too much,
because I'm
yeah.
like, it's too much.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want to, because I'm the evil stepmom,
Right.
They're gonna
Well, that's
hate
how
me.
it comes out.
Exactly.
Because you're the one that's always trying to lay down the rules.
I mean, I
always
know
trying
they
to
love
say
me.
that.
I know they do.
They do. But
at
again,
the same time,
they're kids.
Right.
And
kids.
they only process it
Right.
one way.
And I think they're mad that their mom doesn't come around as much, that they're kind of taking out on me.
Right.
And all this stuff.
And that does happen, and it does
And it's
happen.
hard.
And
it
it's
really
very
is hard. I mean, you've been down that road with your past
my Grace's
relationships.
dad. Yeah, it was like his daughters are older. Same thing. Loved them to death, but it was the same thing. It would be like I would try to discipline them in the sense of like the way I would my own kids, being like, okay. Right. Don't blow your nose in the living room in front of like friends and guests and stuff. If you have like, and it seems petty, but it was just like, it's things I would tell my own children.
Right.
But the way they took it was like, she's embarrassed by me.
And they will turn and go to their parent and say, totally twist.
Oh yeah, and
where you have to defend yourself.
Yes, and I felt like I had to, and I'm like,
relationship.
no, I'm trying to be a mom, and I can't be because you're not necessarily accepting me fully as a mom, and that's normal. And again, I did the same thing to my own stepmom, and she was the only mom I ever had. And I really give her credit now as an adult because I see like where she really tried, and it's like, look, you're not perfect, and this kind of brings it all back together. So we're gonna wrap it up here, but this is a really good. I love the way we kind of turn things around full circle, because it is like even outside of like relationships with spouses, there's relationships with your parents or relationships with anybody in your family that you can do the same things. You can behave the same way. And there's bad and good aspects. If somebody is constantly trying to work with you and constantly trying to do better by you, that's worth hanging on to. So if it's your stepmom and you hate her because she was rough, but if she's still trying to be there for you and she's still trying to love you, give her that chance. Let her be
or
your
even
mom.
your regular parents. I mean, I was when I was a teenager, I didn't talk to my mom and dad for like 2 years,
right?
Because I just didn't want to.
Yeah,
I was going through the phases or whatever.
Right. So listen, y'all, like, this is the end of a podcast for us, but we're going to have more coming up. Becky Yates is going to be another guest here soon. We'll talk about other things. If anybody has any suggestions, please send me an email at ashleyeek87@outlook.com. It's ASHLEYEK87@outlook.com, and we will discuss it. Y'all have a great night, have a great weekend, and happy Thanksgiving. Whoop whoop.
Bye.